Hey PlayStation Insiders, this is Carter with PlayStation Insider. Hopefully this is going to be the first in a long series of videos. I'm going to show you how to do some different Overwatch characters. We're going to start with D.Va for the time being because she's the only one that I'm really good enough with to do this right now. Please help. Anyway, D.Va's an interesting tank. She has a lot more mobility than most of the other ones. Granted, Reinhardt's got that charge, but D.Va with her jets, you almost want to play her as more of a flanker than a traditional tank, and you'll see that here in just a second. You'll notice I stay away from the doors until it's time to go outside because I don't want them to see me there waiting. If you can get behind everything right at the beginning, that's a really good strategy for D.Va because her purpose is to get rid of their defensive line. If you can do that, you have to trust that your team will be able to push when you do, but that's your primary goal, is to disrupt. You've got so much armor that you can last a pretty decent amount of time without getting killed. If you see a Mercy, or any support really, take them out first. D.Va doesn't deal a lot of damage, but if you get really close, it adds up pretty quickly. Now you'll notice they've got our team trapped up at the door, so you gotta go free them up. Once you take care of that, again, see if you can get behind, find their support, find their squishy characters, disrupt, distract, be a nuisance. And that serves for both D.Va in and outside of the mech. You don't stay with your team a whole lot as D.Va because of her nature as almost a flanker. Her defense matrix is really good for handling burst damage like that. Try to save some charge in case someone decides to ult. Like if a Pharah ults, you want to see if you can eat as much of that as you can with your defense matrix. Like I said, you're trying to disrupt that defensive line. If you just saw I had a Zarya and a Junkrat both aiming at me. And if they're aiming at me, that means they're not aiming at my team, which is exactly what you want playing D.Va. Now my mech about died there, so I activated the self-destruct. It didn't kill anyone, but it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It got them away from my point. My team is pushing. The mistake I made there was going after that McCree outside of my mech. I thought I could take it, but you can't play too aggressively when you're out of the mech. Obviously, D.Va without her mech is pretty squishy, and if you play too aggressively, you're going to get wiped out before you can do any reasonable harassing. Now, I did speed up the video. Figured you didn't want to watch me walk back from spawn a million times. Like I said, always go for that support, especially if you see a Discord. If you see a Discord orb on anyone, target them incessantly. They're not going to be able to survive for long, and they're going to be trying to get away, which makes it a lot easier for you to take them out. Now I've got a Pharah Mercy combo, which is going to be really difficult to deal with, but I'll get to that in a minute. As you can see right now, I'm just harassing the Zarya. I'm not going to survive this encounter, I know that, but if I can keep them tied up long enough for my team to get a decent push in, or even eliminate a couple other of their teammates, then it was worth it. It's not always about how many kills you can get, it's how much of their team can you get focused on you. Be a distraction, be a nuisance, run around in circles. I've killed so many Bastions with D.Va outside my back by just literally running circles around them. It's not very hard, it handles itself pretty well. Now, here's something that I made a bit of a mistake here. I went too far ahead. There's too many people here. But see right there where I ate up as many of those grenades as I could. Alright, so when you hear a 76 ult especially, you can eat most of that with the defense matrix. So get up there, try and stop him from killing your team. Any shot-based ult D.Va can stop. And that includes things like May's Snowball. If you can get to it before it resolves, you can actually vaporize the Snowball robot. It's the same deal with Hanzo's Spirit Dragons. If you can get the arrow, and with Zarya's Graviton Surge, if you can get it before it hits anything and actually starts triggering the Graviton Surge, that'll work as well. Alright, so I've got my ult back up again. The thing about D.Va's ult is it's pretty easy to dodge if you don't use it correctly. You want to try and send it somewhere into a high area, and if I remember correctly, I don't think I used this one quite well. I didn't edit it out because I want you to see the mistakes. I want you to understand what to do and what not to do. For instance, probably going up against these guys, not my best choice, but it does keep them tied up, so it's also not a terrible idea. Except the more you can keep their team tied up with you, the better off you'll be. But when you're outside your net, 1v1ing a 76. And then, if a McCree shows up especially, you're definitely not going to get out of there alive. McCree's one of your biggest threats as D.Va because he's got that flashbang, just stops you in your track. and that's your only real advantage outside of the mech is your mobility. Without that, you're pretty much dead in the water. So that was a mistake that I made there. I have a habit of tunnel visioning when I see a Bastion. I want him dead, I want him gone as quickly as possible. And which is a viable strategy, but you shouldn't burn an ult just to do that. Now here I'm going to try and bait a Zarya into their defense room. And it started to work, but then she realized what I was doing and left. So we had to go back up there and go get her. Looks like they wiped out the rest of my team, so I gotta do some disrupting while they make their way back, make sure they don't push us back too far. Good Zarya is really hard to beat, especially if she's bubbling her team and they've got a McCree stopping that mobility. Especially between those two, you're not going to have a lot of luck if you're trying to do this on your own. Now, D.Va is typically better on her own when she's ahead of her team, but she cannot take on a whole team on her own. You watch single people out, take them out quickly, move on to the next one. If they're all grouped up like that, D.Va's not going to be a whole lot of use. Now, normally, like I said, you would want to defense matrix that ult, but I noticed he was really low on health, so finishing him off works just as well. I had that Roadhog supporting me there, otherwise I might have gotten beat there. Map knowledge is really important with D.Va. You can use that jet to get to health quickly. Even if you don't need health, if you're fighting somebody and you realize that they're going to health, use that jet you've got to try and get to the health first. Because if you can prevent them from healing, then you've got this in the bag. So notice that McCree up there. Roadhog got him, so I don't need to worry about him. And it looks like we've got most of their team, so we can focus on pushing. While they're pushing, I'm going to worry about breaking up defenders. Bastion's ulting, make sure he doesn't get to do much with that. Just defense matrix. Your defense matrix is big enough so that you can encapsulate most smaller characters. Bastion and Reaper especially, if you defense matrix on or an ulting Reaper, none of his shots will resolve correctly. You'll just eat all of them, none of them matter. Now this probably would have gone better had Mercy not res their team. We were doing pretty well there, but there's not a lot you can do against a really good Mercy res. Here in just a second, I'll show you. There's a technique specifically for this map that I like to use with D.Va, and sometimes it works better than others. This lane here is a really good area to send your mech down. What I like to do is fly up here. You got to aim it just right. It requires quite a bit of timing, so aim it and launch the mech like that. Give him a wave if you can. Always better to swag on him. Didn't do great there because I'm still not used to the patch where they changed that delay from 4 seconds to 3. But if you can nail that timing, launching it over that like a mortar is a really good strategy. Now, Bastion will take out your mech 9 times out of 10 when you're going after him, but you have that extra life if he doesn't. And like I said, almost always a good idea to get rid of a Bastion. If you got a good team behind you, you can probably escape without your mech. And D.Va deals pretty decent damage even without her mech. So, don't think that you're useless without your mech. You're pretty good. If nothing else, you can harass, charge back up, and get that mech back quickly. Now, these last final push scenarios, she's not really great at. See that defense matrix? Make sure he doesn't get that off. Anyway, these last push scenarios, they're not super great for D.Va. She has a lot of armor, but when everyone's ganging up on, in a group, you take a lot of hits. So typically, you might want to consider switching these situations, but if you're close to a self-destruct, you should definitely stay on her because self-destructs can win in clutch situations like this. They'll simply win the game. See that? I saw Reaper going at me. Defense matrix him. Try and remember how many shots these characters can carry before they have to reload. Like, I know Reaper fires 8 shots before he has to reload, so in doing that, I know when is the best time to fire at him. And that's kind of something you're just going to have to practice with. McCree's got 6, Reaper's got 8, Junkrat's got 5. If you can count all those and know when the best time to defense matrix is, it'll help you out a lot. Now, right up here, this is, remember when I said you can shoot your mech down this lane and self-destruct it? If mech is moving, it's much harder for them to dodge. So once you've got that, the team can push, and the mech is also a really good device to block off passages. So what you can do, once this ult is eaten up, make sure that doesn't work, go over here, make sure no one gets to come out of that spawn room. If you can body block the spawn room with a mech, or self-destructing mech is even better. But just make sure no one gets to come out of there. Make sure his ult doesn't get to do anything. Try and keep them away from the point. That's your main goal. Your main goal at this point is not to get kills, it's to keep them away. Because you're so close. If they're away from the point for a second, then you've won the game. Yeah, see that Mercy, get rid of her. We can't afford a big res. This is close to the end of the game. Your jets do deal moderate damage, so if an enemy's at low enough health, you can use it to chase after him. See here, that tire would have wiped out my team if I had been standing in front of that door there. And instead, only hit me, and we won the game. Hope this was informative for you guys. Like I said, I hope to make this a series, and this is my first one, so try to cut me some slack, and if you have any requests, go ahead and shoot them at me in the comments below. This will be on the PlayStation Insider website, and I plan on sharing it on Facebook and anything else I can get it on. Just, like I said, leave me a comment. Who do you want to see me play? What do you want to learn more about? Any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.